You have probably encountered several occasions where the exact same events that happen in a show seem very important or meaningful to some viewers and completely passable and boring to others. There is a very easy way to tell if these events really deserve their praise or not, and that is by simply knowing the difference between why is this important and how is this important. Why is what you ask when you want to know the purpose of someone or something for existing in a story. You seek the reason people and things are the way they are. How, on the other hand, is what you ask when you want to know the function of someone or something in a story. You seek what makes them tick and how their performance affects the world around them. Most tasteless casuals, buzzword, are usually preoccupied with only the former question. They take everything at face value, and as long as they're giving a simple reasoning, they just roll with it. Critical thinkers, buzzword, are preoccupied with the latter. They care a lot for mechanisms and effects. So, in a very simple scientific way, imagine space being represented by the why, time represented by the how, and both of them together as space-time being the overall importance someone or something has in a story. Putting all that into practice, I will apply this reasoning to examples I gathered from Zankyu no Terror. Yet again, the greatness that is me will be representing the how, and some random nobodies who liked the show will represent the why. So off we go.
Why is Sphinx able to outsmart the Japanese police?
Because they are super smart. How is Sphinx able to outsmart the Japanese police?
Because the police are completely incompetent, who can't even do the most basic police work. It doesn't feel like much of an accomplishment if all Sphinx is doing is outsmarting retards.
Why is Lisa important in the show?
Because she is showing the Sphinx what it means to have a normal, peaceful life. She represents the everyday world, where nothing is about master plans or riddles or conspiracies. How is Lisa important to the plot?
She isn't. She exists to waste time. She is causing nothing but trouble, which demands from the Sphinx to constantly derail their plans just to save a completely useless girl. Furthermore, she's an awful representation of the normal world. It makes normal people to appear like they are incompetent, constantly bullied at school and home, and who want to see the world burn. Furthermore, what does it even matter for Sphinx to have a normal life? It's not like they had no experience with the normal world and needed someone to teach them about it. This is no Terminator 2. They managed to transfer to a school and mingle with the normals with no problem. Plus, they had no intention to live normally anyways. Their goal was to expose the truth and change the normal lives of everybody forever.
Why was Shibazaki important in this show?
Because thanks to his investigations, he found out about the bomb and arrested the Sphinx. How was Shibazaki important in this show?
He wasn't. His investigations had zero effect in the plot, and the Sphinx surrendered to him by themselves. He could have been removed from the show and nothing would change.
Why is 5 so vital to the show?
Because she showed the dark side of the human experiments. She was driven insane by them, and now all she seeks is revenge. She is a victim, a tragic character we're supposed to feel sorry for. How does all that play out in the show?
By making her act like a one-dimensional psychotic bitch that derails the plot and makes no sense, thus making you hate her for ruining everything. You cannot feel pity for her. She's no tragic character.
Why was 5 allowed to do all those insane things?
Because she had complete control over the Japanese police and the American agents. It makes sense. How was 5 allowed to do all those insane things?
Never explained. We are supposed to believe a total nutcase was given complete control with such an important mission, and none of the higher-ups ever questioned her capabilities.
Why is there tension in this show?
Because it has riddle solving and explosions and running around defusing bombs before time runs out. How well was the tension?
It was shit. Nobody ever dies in the show. The population doesn't give a damn about entire buildings blowing up. The opposition is just a bunch of retarded cops. And there is nothing exciting about trying to rescue a girl for the 5th time in 10 episodes when Sphinx are better off disposing her and focusing on the damn mission.
Why didn't the Sphinx simply detonate the bomb and surrender to the police from the very beginning instead of doing all those pointless riddles?
Because the police wouldn't take them seriously if they were telling them the truth right away. They first needed to prove how capable they were by throwing around riddles.
How would the story be different if the Sphinx had simply detonated the bomb and surrendered to the police from the very beginning instead of doing all those pointless riddles?
It wouldn't. It was a nuclear explosion, for the love of God. Even the hardest to convince skeptic would have taken them seriously in 3 seconds.
How does this show resonate
Wink, wink.
with the Japanese audience?
Because it is a political statement, criticizing the external policies of the Japanese Prime Minister for his reinterpretation of the Constitution to excuse future warfare against other nations. That is a very serious and deep message, which makes the show amazing.
How does this message make the show any better?
It doesn't. The presentation sucked. Who cares what subliminal messages it had if they were done so terribly shallow? And since I mentioned space-time as an analogy, this is where it fits to mention time travel. You see, there are many cases where people are trying to retrospectively justify the importance of events. That means the show is over and now they look back and see the importance of certain events as triggers for whatever follows later on. This makes sense if there was foreshadowing and proper writing. It even excuses most of the whys. At the same time, it is what most use as bullshit excuses for any asshole or plot hole in the story. It is backwards logic where stuff are excused by moving back in time. Such as this.
Why wasn't 5 fleshed out properly by showing us her past?
Because the show was only 11 episodes and there was no time for that.
How does that excuse anything?
Shouldn't the show be twice as long if 11 episodes were not enough? Better yet, shouldn't the creators have spent more time on the characters instead of wasting 80% on pointless riddles and bombings? Don't expect me to accept this bullshit reasoning when it could have been fixed so easily. And my favorite part is the whole Vaughn thing, which means hope in another language and represents the peace of mind the Sphinx wanted to find. This too was bullshit if you don't use backwards logic. The only thing they hoped for is to expose the crap Japan did to the world and completely destroy its credibility. Man, that show gave hope to its people. And this peace of mind they wanted to have is essentially taking revenge on Japan for the things it did to them before they kick the bucket because of the side effects from the experiment. That doesn't sound so nice to me. Why not spend the last remaining days you have alive by having fun instead of waste them on this petty revenge? Peace of mind, my ass. And don't tell me they did it so the rest of the world will have a better future. The rest of the world doesn't give a fuck, even when you blow up buildings in their faces. So you think they will care about giving them hope by destroying the credibility of a whole country? If they bothered to make them care, I would buy this excuse. Not the way it was done. This is the same reason there was nothing tragic in the last episode when they shot 12. It's again the same logic.
Why is this tragic?
Because he was shot.
How did that affect the story?
It didn't. He would have died after a couple of days anyways. Makes no difference. So next time, you plebs, buzzword, want to figure out if a show deserves its hype? Ask yourselves how, not why.
There's just no way we're not going to get a season 2. It's bound to happen. This series has definitely exploded in recent episodes, has been very popular. Definitely inclined to believe that there will be a season 2.
The Tower of God is over and it was shit, but we must support it regardless because it's very important.
When something is important, it means whole lot to you.
It began a new era for anime, so it's very important.
Take this oatmeal cookie. It's important. It means whole lot to me.
The God of High School is very important too, because it's a webtoon, and webtoons are much more important than manga.
Chocolate chip cookie important to me too. Yeah, it means whole lot to me. Important.
And don't forget Noblesse, it's from Korea, which is now much more important than Japan.
Me not want to make this butter cookie feel bad. Oh yeah, it's important too.
And don't overlook Solo Leveling, which is not made in Japan, therefore it's unlike anything we've seen before.
Oh, and this gingerbread cookie, very important too.
In fact, everything that is coming out is important and you need to consume them all, so they will keep making more adaptations for you to consume.
In fact, all cookies, very important to me.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
Cowabunga! Cookies!
For those of you who think I am spending too much time on making videos about bad anime, you assume I am only supposed to be making videos about good anime and not about anime in general.
because the average filthy casual cannot imagine himself dealing with something that has no value to him. If he thinks a show is worth it, he will stick around. If he thinks it's not worth it, he will ignore it. The assumption here is that you should only care about things that have a value to you, and ignore those which are not worth it. I find this mentality extremely self-destructive. Nobody should care only about the things he cares and ignore everything else. For the same reason, prices are not fixed permanently. Nothing stays equally important forever, and if you focus too much on what you like, one day what you like is no longer valuable. It's what happens to any channel that is focusing too much on what sells and ignores everything else because it's not worth it. It doesn't diversify its content, and one day the only thing it was thriving on loses its importance and the channel dies. There is always confusion whenever people can't tell apart sentimental value from face value. Each one of us likes different things. A lot of things do not have the same value for us as the fixed price they have for most others. That's the logic behind antiques and pieces of art with astronomical prices. They are not actually that valuable for anyone else besides those who value them as such. The anime community is not that different. Hype is essentially the overselling of something. If you are a fan, to you that something is as valuable as gold. If you are not a fan, it's just shiny rocks. Your average fanboy or dick-riding channel is essentially trying to sell you shiny rocks as gold. Most people don't haggle over prices. They either accept the price of something or they consider it overpriced and ignore it. On the other hand, any argument or a debate is essentially haggling over the value of that something. My channel is not about overselling you something. I am not here to inflate the value of certain shows. I am mostly here for telling you why garbage is garbage and why you shouldn't buy it because they are not as valuable as they make them seem to be. If you don't do that, your average dick-riding channel is going to make you think everything is valuable and you should consume everything. Don't ask questions. Consume product and be excited for next products. And if everyone is super, then no one is super. It's very easy to assume that I'm wasting my time because I'm talking about things that have no value for me. If I am not overselling them and you don't buy it, you are not interested, and according to the mentality of a filthy casual, you don't care, therefore these videos are useless. Which is not true because I am also promoting good shit. And if it seems like the good shit are not nearly as many as the bad shit I am talking about, it's because by default the good shit are not that many to begin with. If I cannot convince you about Black Clover not being the king of shonen anime because of your sentimental value for that show, this doesn't mean you should ignore the face value for anyone who is not a fan of the show. A fanboy often refuses to see the fixed price and only sees his sentimental value, which means nothing for anyone else besides those like him. There is nothing wrong with seeing why what you consider gold is just shiny rocks for everyone else. If anything, it can save you time and money by making you realize it's not really worth it. And in case you are on the other side of the fence, and you already know it's not worth it, there is nothing wrong with being shown the lies with which the dick riders are trying to oversell you garbage, and why the things that are actually good are actually good. Over the past few days, I have found several examples of anime fans liking a show by not focusing on the protagonist. Chibi likes Mushoku Tensei by never paying attention to the pedo protagonist and only cares about the background art. The Masked Man made a video where he apologizes for Naruto never being an underdog story, but rather a message about the cycle of hatred that happens to the antagonists. Fans of Samurai 8 ignore the plot and characters and only care about the video game infodumps. Fans of Tokyo Revengers ignore the crybaby protagonist and only care about the cool gangsters. Fans of Boruto are not focusing on the spoiled protagonist who hates his father for giving him a happy life. They focus on Naruto and Sasuke, who are supposed to be support characters at this point. In every one of these examples, the protagonist, the main focus of the whole show, is ignored in favor of secondary elements as means to enjoy an otherwise problematic series. And there is nothing wrong about that as long as you keep that opinion to yourself and you're not being an ass about it. If you want to enjoy a show for the backgrounds, be my guest. But when you yell at everyone else for not enjoying the show the same way you do, then you are an asshole and you deserve every bit of criticism coming your way. You see what Chibi is saying every week in his Mushoku reviews? He mocks people for not liking the show because the protagonist is a pedo and insists they should instead be focusing on the background art. The Masked Man did the same for Naruto. He blames people for not liking it because it destroyed the underdog theme, and should instead like it for the cycle of hatred theme, which is something that appeared a lot later and doesn't matter when the protagonist is fated to win regardless of what the conflict is about. Same thing with the other 3 shows. Why are you people so stupid and don't give Samurai 8 a chance? Don't you see the video game terminology? Why are you so stupid about Takemichi being a crybaby? Don't you see the cool gangsters? Why do you not like Boruto when it gets good after 200 episodes? Don't you see Naruto getting cool power-ups? Like it or not, most people can enjoy a show only if they like its main focus and not the secondary elements. Mocking them for that is the same as a chef blaming his customers for not liking the salad as much as they like the main dish. It doesn't work like that, and it's ridiculous when they insist you are stupid for not liking a show when the minor details are better than the core themes or the main characters. That would make you as retarded as not liking this video for what I said, but rather for the random clips of bouncing boobs I am showing you.